We're going to discuss IP addressing in this video. First, we'll start off with a bit of a review. Now, you saw the slide when we discussed IP basics, IP fundamentals. IP addresses are 4 octets, 0 through 255 each separated by a period or a dot. Each octet is 8 binary bits, so a full IP address is a decimal representation of a 32-bit number. We'll cover binary addressing briefly here in just a moment. Each IP address has a network and a host portion. There are 5 classes of networks. We'll talk about what those are and why they're rarely used anymore. And we'll talk a little bit about CIDR, classless interdomain routing. So first, let's talk a little bit about binary addressing. This is a binary table. In this case, we have the decimal equivalent of 101 shown in binary. And if you've not ever dealt with binary, it can be a bit daunting at first. Essentially, the easiest way to remember this is you start at the right with 1 and you double it with every place in the binary number up till you get 128. By turning on various bits in these 8 fields, you could have any number between 0 and 255. 0 being all zeros and 255 being all ones. In this case, we have 01100101. So if you start at the left and you add these up, 64 plus 32 is 96, 96 plus 4 is 100, 100 plus 1 is 101. There's the decimal equivalent of 101. Now again, this is the very basic discussion of binary addressing. If you go for any higher level Cisco certification or any higher level networking certification for that matter, you'll live and breathe this binary addressing. But now that we know what binary addressing is, we'll move on to the network portion versus the host portion. Now here is an IP address and a subnet mask. The IP address is 192.168.1.1. The subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Now this delineates out the network portion versus the host portion. In this case, it is a /24 network. It's real easy to see because you've got 3 sections or 3 octets of the IP address of 8 bits each that are the network portion and 1 that is the host portion. 8 times 3 is 24. So therefore, this network would actually be written as 192.168.1.0/24. This also tells you a little bit about how to find the network address and the broadcast address. And again, we won't get into that level of it here in the CCENT, but you can play along at home with the home game by taking a network and a subnet mask, converting them to binary, and then figuring out the network address and the broadcast address. And again, if you do any serious networking at all, you're going to pretty much know how to do this by memory. So now that we've talked about that, let's talk about networks that are smaller than a /24 or a Class C network. And I'm getting ahead of myself already talking about a Class C network. Here is a /30 network. In this case, we have 30 network bits and 2 host bits. Using this formula here, we find out we have 2 host addresses because we cannot use the broadcast or the network address. And so there is the subnet mask in decimal. And this is just another representation of network bits versus host bits. And again, we'll learn a lot more about that when we talk about building an IP network at the very end of this course when we put it all together. But this is where you learn about the basics of IP addressing network bits versus host bits. We'll pick up with our discussion of IP addressing in the next video.